Okay, there we go. Hey, you guys, it's Team Fit Finances Team Call, September 26th. I am Leona Wong, and I am going to talk about volume and placement. So Holly shared a presentation with me from Summit that was the Leadership 2 talking about volume and placement. So what I went ahead and did was, while I was watching that video, I actually just screenshotted several of the slides, and I put them in a presentation, and I added notes. So I'm going to try to go through them, and I will distribute them. So I put links in here for you to click things so you can learn and go through it on your own time. But I just kind of want to walk through it, give you the highlights, and then we can do some questions. So I thought that would be kind of easy. So if you want to stop me, go ahead, you can do the Holly wave if you want to stop and ask a question, okay? So for some of you, this is all basic stuff, but some people may not have heard this before. So what was cool is that this is what they taught them at Summit, right? So personal volume versus team volume. I believe you guys know what this is, but I have the definitions here at the bottom with the links to the FAQs, right? So your personal volume is what you buy and what your retail customers buy, right? That determines your active status. So as a coach, to be active, you need 50 PV, right? And then as you move up in rank, your PV requirements go up. And I put a link in here to policies and procedures. You'll see it in there a lot. So I got all the FAQs in here as well. Team volume now, okay? This is where I think a lot of people may or may not understand, right? So the team volume is the volume generated from the purchases by your CBC, right? So that's your business center, your coach business center, and your downline coaches, right? So your volume goes up to your upline, and your downline's volume comes up to you, right? And it depends on which legs they're on. That's how the volume comes up to you. So the FAQ will kind of describe that more in the policies and procedures. I'm not going to tell you how team cycle bonuses actually work. You can look up the 100, 200, how that works on your own. But I also have a link in here from Moira Kusaba that I thought was pretty good. And so she'll explain how the cycle bonus works. She'll do examples about how you take volume off and what creates a cycle. But I put a caveat in here. So she says very distinctly in her video that you must place on the outside legs only. Now, I've said this before that, you know, Scotty Hobbs did a series on different structures of his team and how they do placement, different placement strategies based on your structure. So I put a little caveat in there, right? You can place on your outsides only. That only helps all of your coaches because it goes up to everyone, but it may not work for you to maximize your income earning, right? So the coach development mentors, you know, uplines, they should be able to help you with your placement if you're not really sure. But, you know, I think for everyone, you want to maximize earnings. So it really depends on the structure of your business, because at some point in time, you're going to place somebody in some place where you thought it was a good idea, and then maybe it doesn't work out, right? So you should try to understand, even if you place them in weird places, how they're going to benefit or not benefit your business. So the next time you place, you know how to do better. Okay. You guys are with me so far, right? Okay.
Yep.
All right. So they call it a binary system, right? Because we have two legs, right? This is where I think a lot of people don't spend much time, is to really understand where your strong leg is and where your weak leg is, and whether or not you're balanced, because some people don't even know that. And I know that I like to show this to everyone because a lot of our training doesn't explain, right? And so it also says your legs can switch from weak to strong, because if you are balanced, sometimes you have more on one side, you know, one week, and then the other side the next week. So your weak and strong actually can switch, you know, and it also determines how you're going to cycle, right? So the easiest way, and I gave you a couple of ways to find out, you know, you check your graphical genealogy. And if you're brand new, there may not be hardly anybody in there. So generally, your strong leg is where you're connected to your upline, right? And so if you can't really tell that from your graphical genealogy yet, you can always ask your upline where you're connected, and that's typically your strong leg. Not always, right? But typically. So I tell you how to find it in your graphical genealogy, because as time goes on, you're going to see little heads under you, and they're not your PS coaches. And the reason they're not is because people that have started the business above you in your upline are adding coaches, and those coaches go down under you. So that's something that a lot of people don't understand either. And I have a picture at the end that I will show you, and maybe that'll make more sense. Okay, so I also tell you could do it by looking at your volume in your office to determine which kind of structure do you have, you know, where your strong leg is, where your weak leg, or maybe you have balanced leg.
This is more common than what you would think, Leona. If you could just re-explain how people will land in your downline that you don't need to be personally responsible for. Do you mind explaining that just a little bit more in depth? Because I get this question a lot from even seasoned coaches.
Okay, like the graphical genealogy and how that works. Okay, so and maybe you guys could look it up after. I would say go to your graphical genealogy and just look at what it looks like. There's a legend in there, and it'll tell you they're a PS coach or a non-PS coach. The non-PS coach, so okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to jump to the end real quick, and then I'll come back to this one because I have a picture in here. Don't get dizzy. I have a picture in here. This is what I wanted to do at the end. So this is what I believe, and I'm not 100%, my lineage looks like in Holly's Business Center. And you don't have to correct me, Holly. You can correct me later. But this is an example of how I'm related to the other coaches on the team, right? So Holly has 2 business centers, right? And when you hit 2-star diamond, you get to open yourself as a second. So every time one of your business centers hits 2-star, you get another one of you. It's really beautiful. So this is my strong leg. I'm like way down here, right? Because this is how I see the teams contributing to my downline. So let's just say Donna adds a coach. Because she's ahead of me, I only see her right leg. I don't see her right and her left. So the only activity I would see is if she added a coach to her right side. And if she added it in the graphical genealogy, it would go all the way to the bottom to whoever that last coach is on the strong leg. And that coach could have been Kelly's or Ellen's or Kara's. It could have been somebody else's coach, but they all go to the outside at the bottom, right? So it makes sense in your graphical, but they are not your coaches, but their volume goes up your strong leg. And I think we could do another Q&A or things like that when people have time to digest what I am showing you, because I think these are important concepts. Like you'll see in your office, it'll say you have 250 downline coaches, or it says something like that. This is what they mean. It's typically just down your strong leg. On the other side, in your graphical, you'll see primarily, it'll be just you and your downlines coaches, right? So now you're seeing your downlines coaches, but they're also non-PS coaches. And everyone will look like they have a person on their right and on their left and a right on their left, but they're not your coaches. I'm going to have to come back to that because it's pretty advanced. There are things that I'm going to talk about that are advanced, and I might just skip by it until you guys can digest it. But I wanted the information to be in here so that you could use it as a reference. Okay, so that's just how do you find how you're structured, okay? And then I'm not going to go into depth on this one either, but I wanted to at least have it in here for your information, right? So say you have a coach who says, you know, I want to make $1,000 in a team cycle bonus. They're telling you this is how you figure out how much volume they need in order to make $1,000, right? And this 300 TV right here represents the 100 on one leg and the 200 on the other that you need to trigger a cycle. So this also is very dependent on how you're structured and where that volume shows up. But they're just giving you an example of how much, so you understand what you need to know, like how much triggers 1,000. And that this 18 is because they're using it as a diamond coach. So I just have it here as an example. if we have questions about that later, you guys can just put them in the, you know, we can start a thread on our team page too to talk about stuff so people can ask questions. Okay, so the same thing. I'm not going to go through this. I wanted to, because this is going to take a little bit more time, so I wanted to talk about this because I don't actually know how much time we have. So placement. So now that you know where your strong leg is and as your weak leg, when you get a new coach, how do you know where to put them? Yeah, that's the hard part, right? And I hope you guys know that when you set your placement in the office, you can literally pick any of these positions of people in there. And a lot of coaches like to use the graphical genealogy, but that doesn't resonate with me. You could also use that, the graphical view, and you could say place to set your placement. I'm left-brained, so I like it. Well, let's just say Brian is my spouse, right? This could be me and this could be Randy. If I want to place under Randy, I have to put his coach ID in the placement ID, and then I'd say right. Don't ever let it do automatic for you. You should always intentionally place before you sign a coach. And remember, you have only like I think it's 5 days, 3 to 5 days to move your coach if you happen to not check your placement before you sign them. Or sometimes they sign up really fast before you have time. It's nice to have that problem. But sometimes they sign up so fast that you didn't have time to change your placement, and you can still change it. All right, so this is the example they use. They really like Moira. I believe her husband's name is Brian, right? And then they used her CBC too. So we're going to use this same example since the slides are so nice for us, already done. All right, so you want to decide, are you going to do it for rank or are you going to do it for income, right? And then you want to decide, is it a business builder or is it a discount coach, right? Because those factor into where you want to put people. Okay, so in this example, Moira's strong leg is down the right and her weak leg is the left. So her husband here is on her left. So she's trying to drive volume up this side, right? That's all this is saying. So that's why she's actually placed her second business center on her husband's weak leg. So this she can trigger. So if you buy something down here, it pushes volume up here, pushes volume up here. So she cycles 3 times, right, in this scenario. These are all essentially Moira's businesses. Okay, it's no questions so far. You guys you with me? Okay. Now, these are some fictitious numbers just to help you understand how the volume can move and can benefit you. This is fundamentally just the part where it shows you the team volume that comes up to you, right? So down in CBC2, she's got 200 on her weak leg and 800 on her strong leg. And that results in 1,000 on Brian's weak leg, right? Same thing. Brian's weak leg has 1,000, his strong leg has 3,000. And so that goes up as team volume, 4,000 on CBC1 Moira's weak leg. Right, so this is a little bit more difficult to understand, but it's good to see it in the picture. This is how people contribute to your volume. So whenever you buy something, it says PV is worth this much, but TV is a little bit less. I don't know how they do the factors, but your TV is usually a little bit less than the PV. Not always. Okay. So this is just talking about acknowledging, and I don't think they did this right, but it's trying to say that she's got diamonds on her right, and then the diamonds and her CBC2 with a couple of other coaches on the left. But they're trying to get you to say, am I doing this for income or for recognition? Right, another link here to policies and procedures just to help you out. And then I wanted to include these because these are very important to me, and I hope to you, to visualize how the ranks work, right? And I can't remember what Ruby used to be because this says new. And I'm thinking maybe Ruby had 2 other coaches on here. Do you remember, Holly?
It was the only requirement for Ruby was 1 emerald on each leg, but they added the 2 additional just active coaches.
Okay.
Like several years ago, yeah.
Okay, because the way it always works to me most of the time is most people don't go to ruby, right? They go from emerald to diamond. And then when a diamond falls to ruby is what I think kind of happens. But this is the way you can picture how your legs need to be for that rank that you want, right? And it is this way, right? The blue ones are the minimum additional PS coaches you need in addition to your diamonds or your emeralds to be diamond, along with the PVs. I took this picture and the next one straight out of the policies and procedures because I go back and take them every now and again because the visual really matters. So I put them in here just because they're good information. I didn't go higher than the 5-star, but I wanted to still show you the importance of knowing where you need to place, right? So if you're placing for rank, you need to understand this picture before you set your placement, right? The only other things I wanted to highlight here is in the 2-star, you actually need to be balanced, right? In the 1-star, they say 1-star, no matter where your diamond is, you're a 1-star. In a 2-star, you have to have 1 on each leg. If you have 2 on the left, you're not a 2-star, right? It says right here, must have at least 1 PS diamond on each leg. So that each requirement is kind of a pain, but that's what we have to do. So at 2 and at 5, you need to be balanced, right? Must have at least 2 PS diamonds on each leg. So that's just for a little segue for info. All right, so now this is the time stuff. I wanted to kind of slow down a little bit and show you how placement matters, okay? So in this one, we're trying to make more money, right? So if we're trying to make more money and we have a new coach coming, where's the right place to put them? Because in this scenario, right, Moira has control over all of these business centers, so she can place this new coach anywhere she wants, right? So we're using 100 because that's the easiest way, right? Instead of 90. I know that most coaches will come in with 90, but the 100 is what triggers a cycle bonus, right? So that's why we're using that. So in number 1, if we place the new coach on this leg, this volume goes to 3,100. This one goes to 4,100. You know, that's okay. It's adding to his strong leg, which doesn't really help, but she still gets 1 cycle bonus, right? So it's okay, right? And so I kind of put it's okay. All right, number 2. So now we're over here on number 2. So what if you place a coach over here? Strong leg goes to 5,100. Nobody else benefits, right? I call that meh, right? Meh. Whatever. It doesn't really make any difference in your cycle bonuses because you don't have enough volume to drive another cycle. So that's my meh. Okay, so this one's a little bit different because this one actually helps, but it doesn't totally help, right? So this is the strong leg of CBC2. Does not help CBC2, right? So I say it's meh for CBC2, but it goes up through Brian's weak leg, up through CBC1's weak leg. So it did trigger 2 cycle bonuses, right? So that's pretty good. So that's not horrible. So in this scenario, Moira 2 could have needed to put a coach down here anyway for rank, right? And that's just how it has to work at that point, right? But ideally, you want to get to this number 4, right? If you've got 3 business centers, my goodness, you want them all to cycle, right? As often as possible. So I imagine in this scenario, this leg is probably where she puts most of the coaches, unless she's doing for rank. Because if you put it here, as you can see, you put 100 here, this one cycles, this one cycles, and this one cycles, right? In addition to, I don't know, if these are all diamonds or emeralds, she's getting matching bonuses as well every time they cycle. So this is my winner chicken dinner. Anyway, that's what I was thinking it would be. Okay, so I just wanted to come back to this one too. And then do you have any idea how much time I have? I don't know where the timers go. They'll just tell me when I'm running out of time. Okay, so
Got like 15 minutes or so.
okay, good. So I just want to go through this and the next one real quick, and then if there's any questions, and if there's not, that's fine. We could just be done. All right. So I don't know. This is where I think I live in Holly's business, right? I'm pretty sure from the reason I can say I'm pretty sure is because I don't know for sure. But when I look at my downline and I look at who's contributed and whose teams contribute to my downline, this is what I see, right? These are the people that I see are adding coaches and adding to my strong leg, right? That's why Melody's somewhere in here because I believe she transferred into a business. And so I only see her right leg, right? So that's something important for you to know, right? So I'm right here. Everybody above me, I only see when they add a coach to their right leg. It's kind of sad because I'm sure they're adding to their weak leg a lot more, right? But in this scenario, I don't benefit from that, right? And so I should have drew Betty in here. So Betty's like right here, right? Betty is on my weak leg and Sherry is on my strong leg. So in this scenario, Kara sees everything I do, right? Because she's above me. So she will see everything that comes from my weak leg and my strong leg. So that's kind of the benefit of being in the business a little bit longer is the coaches that come in after you, you see their full downlines activity, right? Anybody who's added down here, I will see their right leg and their left leg, which I don't think I found any trainings to tell me that. It's just because I'm an engineer, I had to know, and now you know. So it took me a while to figure it out. For a while there, it was all this team play hard was where I saw a lot of the activity on my leg, and it wasn't until then that I realized what was happening. So I happen to be lucky that Kara is my success partner, which I think would be great if you could find this type of relationship. And she happens to be in my downline. So we support each other, which happens to work really well. But I'm not saying you have to do that, but it does make a difference. Okay. I think it's good if you draw this out for yourself as well. Okay, so this is just really quick on, this is sort of the way my business looks right now. So I wanted to just sort of touch on it really quick, right? So placement strategy for the strong leg. You place for income on the weak leg, including the spouses, to build and trigger more cycle bonuses, right? So for the most part, I'm very lopsided. I have coaches on my right leg, the strong leg, to support my rank, and I put everybody else on my weak leg. I do some advanced placement sometimes where I'm placing under me as my PS coach, but on my husband's weak leg. So that's like something I think you should just, you can ask me about if you're interested in knowing what that does. But I have the note down here that it's advanced. You can place your PS coaches on your inside weak leg to help your rank, your success club, and your elite, right? Because they're still your PS coaches, but they're triggering volume up your partner's weak leg. So I don't put builders under here right now, but I think that at some point my second CPC would probably hang under here as well, right? I try to put the business builders on the outsides, and discounts, I use them for rank, or I use them to drive volume up my husband's weak leg. So I know that's kind of a lot. I also added a note here to be mindful of hanging your coaches on dead legs, because there's been a number of people, I think we call them orphans, and I know Holly has a bunch of them, that nobody is contributing to their business except themselves. And at some point, somebody placed them in a not so nice place. But you'll hear a number of top coaches are actually on what they call dead legs, right? So I think the message is that just understand what structure you have, but don't feel that you can't build a successful business if you don't have a certain structure, because it's not true. There are advantages to wherever you are. You just need to understand where you are so you could actually take advantage of the placement. So that's all I have. If anybody has any questions, if you want to run examples, you know, we could do too is if you want to put in the comments and if you want to review your own business, I will do that with you. So we could do that also. On whenever we post the recording, you can put it in the comments of that post and I'll.
Can you just start over and talk really slow?
I know I went fast, but that's why I put this all together so that I'm going to share this document with you guys so that you could go through it slowly on your own, because I knew I wouldn't have enough time to do real live examples, right? But I want to. But I want.
You know, I'm making fun of you, right?
Of course I do. But I want to introduce this idea. And then I think, I feel like if people want it, we could do another training and we could walk live examples if they want, or we could do some offside topics. But I feel like it's so important to understand your position and how people contribute to your business and how you place people, that I wanted to just get the information out here for you guys to just try to soak it in, because it's going to take more time. And that's why I put the links in there on purpose. It's going to take more time for you to digest. So, any questions?
Thank you. This was really great, Leona.
Thank you for being here.
I think it's really good to point out too, because a lot of people don't understand when I say for them to put their spouse on their weak leg. You know, so maybe speak to that, like give that some, you know, too, like why you need to put your spouse on your weak leg. How could that benefit?
Okay, yeah, and I've said that throughout the presentation as well, and you can see that that's how the example was set up, but mine is too. I tell all my coaches the same thing as well. You want your spouse, your partner, your BFF, whoever's the closest to you at the time you're building and putting that first coach, you want to put them on your weak leg, because now you can buy stuff or they can buy stuff and everything they do triggers more volume up to your business. So it would go up here. So this person right here, my husband, if he buys something, it drives volume up my weak leg, right? So it will offset the strong leg, which it doesn't really help you when people add, the people that are hanging over here, if they're buying a bunch of stuff, it's really not helping me right now. And let me tell you this, my carryover is like 680,000. It's like ridiculous. And I know that Holly's like in the millions or wherever she's at. There comes a time when you cannot impact your strong leg carryover volume until you do something bigger with your weak leg. So if you don't have a strong leg, you're going to balance people and you do have an advantage there. You can actually control more of your cycle bonuses that way, because you can actually probably do better in rank because you'll place people and just alternate. Like for me, I had like this whole stigma about putting people on my strong leg. So I've got a whole bunch of people on my weak leg and not very many on my right leg, my strong leg. So did that kind of touch it though, Holly? I mean, you want to put more volume on your weak leg, period. And to put a spouse on that leg gives you actually more control over essentially a second business center. And then if you have two BFFs, all the better. You can put your other BFF on this side, because those could be your first two emeralds, right? So
The whole point is like learning to cycle more. You know what I mean? Because the more you cycle, the more money you're going to have at the end of the day. So if you do it smart, which unfortunately we didn't know what we were doing when we signed up. So like all of my coaches just got randomly assigned everywhere, and they got put on inside legs, and like my first 8 were random. But had I known just a tenth of what I know now about placement, it would have been 1,000 times different, So, but we know now. But the more we want you to have a smart business where you're actually like making the most money possible, you know, because why not? Because if you just understand this, which it takes a long time to understand this, but if you understand this, then you'll have a more successful, more sustainable business, you know?
So let me go back to this one real quick though, because this is what I didn't understand for a long time was I had thought I was on your weak leg somehow with your second business center. Because I'm actually hanging under Holly's CBC2 somewhere. And I didn't understand the relationship very well because I always assumed you put it on your weak leg. Like, why wouldn't you put it on your weak leg? So you did not put it on your weak leg, right? And now it's too late to move it.
Yeah.
Right?
Do with it.
Yeah. So
Exactly.
yeah, so this is exactly what happens, right? Sometimes if you don't pay attention, this is what happens, right?
Yeah.
That's why it's important. She says she didn't realize that she probably should have put it on her weak leg, but she didn't know. But now there's so many coaches on her second CBC, there's no way she can cancel it and move it. But you can still do that if you're early in your business. That's in the policies and procedures also. Like say you do put your CBC2 somewhere and you don't like it. As long as it's diamond or lower, you can cancel for 6 months and reopen it wherever you want to. So that's actually really excellent to know is the power of that.
That's what I did with my third business center. Even though I consulted people and everything at the end, after setting it up, I realized that it was not the smartest thing volume wise to do. So I canceled my third business center and then I rejoined 6 months later in a better spot where I could actually like go up the chain a little bit.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So, you know, we do make mistakes. We've all made mistakes. And you have to find a way to recover to your advantage. I mean, that's really the message. So don't feel like wherever you're placed is not a good place, right? Believe in yourself and your power to do and grow and build your own business and be your own CEO, right? We hear those top coaches say it all the time. There's so many of them are on dead legs. It's within your reach and your own power to sort of harness whatever you're at and just go for it. It doesn't matter. It helps you, sure, it should be on a strong leg, but like right now, all of that volume's not doing anything for me, right? I need more activity and I need more active coaches working. And that's really at the end of the day is what we all need, wherever they're placed. If they're working, they're helping you. So
yeah, and I think that's the key right there is if they're working, because my top person on my strong leg is only a coach who could, because she is on my strong leg, like could be passively making, you know, $200,000-$300,000 a year if she had ever built a business. But because she never did, she only makes 25% if she ever happens to make a sale. So that's what I love about this business, because you don't get rewarded if you don't work.
that's true too. That's true too.
It's fair.
Yeah, they stay active and they sit there and if they decide to work, they still can.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's nice too. So the other message is even if you decide you don't feel like working, and we hope you do, but sometimes you get burnt out, don't quit because you lose your position in the business, which means you'll lose all of that additional volume that should be coming to you. So you got to get to Emerald, everyone, minimum, and then accrue volume and stay there, right? So this is another note for you. If you go inactive at any point in time, all of your carryover goes back to zero. I learned that the hard way. So don't do that. For sure. That was like so sad when I did that. Okay. I think we got it.
Is there
We
anything in
good?
the comments?
No, I think we're good. That was just, I think some folks saying goodnight.
Oh, yay. That's fantastic.
All right. Well, thank you. And I think it's important if you guys have questions to ask, you know, me or ask Holly, because if we get enough questions, we could do a different training as well. So, you know, your ideas for training are important also. Okay.
Cool.
I'm calling it out.
Great job. Thank you, Leona.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Leona.
Bye.
Bye-bye.